Abusunya me mamunyi na achi KSM ewo message edema Dr. Bawumia yebekwa akoti ye nyina yeti krom ha ena ebetu dwa se Dr. Bawumia se yemfa stia no emma no na ontwika no emfa yenko babia esese yeko eruna KSM react na ochre se how come na Bawumia be make this statement no? Because so would have say a sitting vice president. Now Babontin Becase, yem fast year no mount. Now won't you can and fire and baby say and they are not technically you have admitted say o boss nanado and to me and fire and baby say into no automatically abanya o can be no sabina faili. In fact, KSM akanyansa sembebre kakra na mapone hu akira wo no moma yentie ne nsema o Bawumia.
Promise you are making some Obama, you know. I am happy, you know. And this is going especially to my good friend Dr. Bawumia. You know. And there's one thing he said. I said, Mijistiana, na minchikano. Nyanko baby, SSA yako. Michikano. Namod mako baby seko. That's a very loaded statement.
Yeah.
Because what he's admitting is that his boss, Nanado, has not taken us where we want to go.
Indeed.
But because he was a vice, he didn't have the steer. And to give him the steer now, and you will see where we are supposed to go. He will take us there. I'm great if there's anybody who's going to promise that he's going to take us where we're going to go to. But the implication here, especially coming from Dr. Bawumia, it's an admission. So we messed up. It is. We have messed up. But it's okay. Now you give me the steer, and I will take you where we are supposed to go. It's a very deeply loaded statement. So let me put this case aside. Folks, we are in bad shape. We as a nation, we have reached a point where I think that everybody, or most of us, let me be frank enough to adjust it and say, not everybody, but most of us have become hypocrites.
It's a fact.
We're all living as if there's no problem. And then in between ourselves, we admit what problems we are facing. You know, but outside of that, that's the BI, okay. My good friend, I can't even call her my sister, Gifty Afenyidatsi. Did you hear the speech she made the last time, Women's Aglow? She knows that there's hardship. She says she knows that we're going through intermittent doom, so she knows that prices are rising, she knows inflation, but something to the effect that but by the grace of God, we are very okay as a country. Because today people are still having weddings, people are having outdoorings, we're having parties, and these all are indications that we are still able to keep up with these things. So I guess in summary, just say never that bad. Because still I hear outdoorings. My friends, please. There is no time in the history of Ghana that we stop doing outdoorings. Even the 80s, when the Rolling Stones by okay, Rolling Stones. So come to the say a Rolling Stone. Satan can adoring. Even those times we were having weddings. You know? So please, let's be realistic with ourselves and not think that everything is okay so long as a few people are having adorings and weddings. I'm sorry. It is part of our thinking, which I call we think so mediocre. And when you think mediocre, you accept the lowest common denominator. It is
enti KSM ena monyina motine kana. This is nyansa sema okae. You see, there be a sema me can say. There is nobody in this administration on Abina Fili. From President Akufo Addo Sukoka, the last person in this government, all of them knows to say Omama Moninye. Bina me catch up. Omunim. Na say Bawumia nim so Abina failure. How can he come out and say that policies bebre were buying with Mwami ba metwem? Na mampenya Akufo Addo any central for a dim komo. Or catch up, we say things are worse, but the next government will take us out. So just now, do you need a PhD before you can understand that Abina failure? And they now Bawumia kasa ansem so about betwitwa 11 more as changing policies in the na MPP for na omuka bi ma ban we implement ya no mu say bo mu nsem. You see the people we are living with. So omu nyina nim say amamu ni nye, but just to say it and discredit their party no eyo omu ya. So when enkrofo do amanyoku echen oman Ghana, so ya ntimi nka no kore. Once there be a make catch mu say upe oman ba kwa wa bibrim Africa hase ya nyatwuma do kromo ya Ghana munti ase. KSM raise issue bitama na okasano. Last I say was it 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, I stand to be corrected. May the aglo story be bremo. Na ma many kase eniama mo heading but o manfo ye wedding ye outdooring, so we are okay. Nyame beye nyambe ya free. This was the message. Time na ma tisono no mu nkasa nkwasa semwe. JM time na yenye wedding, na yenye outdooring. Na ni panye birthday party. That time ukra na dollar to cedi ye 3 cedis no. Still you people spoke and ye be kan bi amusi nyame. Ye be kan amusi nyame beye. Abayin we this incompetent government akoto amena dia tun crime so national cathedral. Ya humbe bi askanafa. Munyina moti krom ha. None of you are talking. And you think it's normal. Ghanaians are dying and smiling. And party what power no on kasa and they are we are dying and smiling. Baby I had you. Nyachumna dukuriyama yantimi nkanokre. Te wu catch there say eniama nye yi Bawumia beba be ye ya na mamu we no and we are then. There's a technically a minor failure. Ye ka we so anu mbuafu. Every time they contradict themselves. Aglo ma meaning pasa minor failure, but on to me can. Oba. It does say, you see, they have a way of criticizing. They can come out and say that both parties are the same. And I say, I will not vote again. I am disappointed in both parties. And I say, Obeba Bonti Abekase, and Yamama di mum, but o mam for chili. Yet a croma brunya day. Now, o mam for a sham mall ma. Now, mam for chadi abe to social media say, yes, a Ghana heading, one man for Moshamwall. Now, the same crop will my dream were from. We are talking about the masses. So, oh, Chema, man for what traffic. Unemployed graduates or motifi. And more your friends saying, how do you call it? More honumana or mutania mana. Or munina ne Ghana. Countries grandpa hierarchy say you're the poorest countries in Africa and as in the world. Obedi country no muna ebinumu was poverty na ye can once and they don't feel it. So because of omo was kind of ornament now I can say oh ya taka so mind we cry a poor country. Sao man for was kawa. It doesn't mean say obia ye poor. Nientia eya yetimi hu se ohia wo man mu say the poor people are more than the rich people. Omo na omo na mall honum no. Omo dro 1 million people. My emfa winchini the whole country. Ko kongrasi, kongurunkuru na share the way ya man force si suffer in a day getting 10 cedis to survive kurano eyanedin. These are the people we are talking about to say and here we are not talking about obia oya wedding and nase obia or komola kotoniama. We are talking about the people suffering. There are those we are talking about. Now obia or a company in a month more than 30,000 Ghana cedis beton accountable obe feeling hardship no. They are not those we are talking about. They are already made people. We are talking about obia warrior school tifia wanya adwumanyaye. We are talking about plans our government need my youth. We are talking about youth or mubre. On the street. They are those we are talking about. They are the masses. Omuna komdi omo. As I will say, the outdooring, at the wedding na yeye, at the mall and man for koko to toniama. Now the judge say Ghana nyedinya na wa bi wo form. Obi kura betima ko Bobby sianda akotoniama. Nya shansha nyina na yesika koko. Enzo ende ya de nyina e cover. Ye cover. Yeah, they cover say when you went to amamuone nyedi. So you knows very well that nyamamu ayedi. Imagine say obiji 3,000 a month no one kwada 3 plus year. How can that person survive? O catch them say nyamamu nyedi. Oba wiasemu ha the most poorest continent in the world, the Africa. Oba Google. Yawa Asia. You were Europe, you were America, you were North America, it was South America, it was Australia. I think there are 7 continents in the world. Out of that 7 continents, the poorest continent is Africa. So does it mean say you see the poorest continent in the world, the African be our Africa be poor. We check the percentage of poverty in Africa compared to the other continents. Now I won't say the poor people in Africa are more than the other continents' poor people. Now you're ranking Africa say the poorest. So ranking Africa as the poorest doesn't mean that everybody in Africa is poor. But the poor people are plenty. That's what it means. There are a lot of people in Africa, or more catching some people in Europe, or more catching some people in Asia, or more catching some people in America. Hesi America say, Dangote of Nigeria, it was catching a lot of people in Europe and America, but or African. Hesi America say, a friend saying, Morocco for king in refugee, or was catching a lot of Europeans, a lot of Americans. Doesn't mean say, almost can omunya Africans. It is their continent, they are ranking say a poorest, but it doesn't mean that obiti Africa or Niska. They are rich people. That's what it means. Entino say ye kase ahunchira wa Ghana o manfo ebre comedy o manfo a. It doesn't mean so automatically obia na comedy no, but it means that o ma comedy o mu no edo so chen o ma comedy o no. Nti somebody doing wedding, somebody doing outdooring, and as a birthday party, and as somebody going to mall to buy things alone doesn't mean that obia o man mu eye okay. O kasa na wadwi wo form. That's not the meaning. Let's all understand this. Nti say yakasa area, the poorest region in Ghana, your northern region, doesn't mean say everybody in the north is poor. Your Mahama of the northern region, of the north. Ibrahim Mahama of the north. The friend saying, how many reason? Are they not rich people? I hear them. Fancy gara no. I hear fancy gara. And then a fancy person to man want him to. Omunyina enough, but you see the poorest region. Example na me set. Say see the poorest region in Ghana, your northern region. It doesn't mean so automatically everybody is poor. And they say the poorest region in Ghana, your northern region. Now we say John Mahama ni Ibrahim Mahama no da casa kesiamu. SC mansions wo mu kru no abekase ane omu bua. The poorest region in Ghana is not northern region because Ibrahim Mahama ni Mahama da casa kesiamu. Then no chire. It is only telling you that the poor people in their region is more than the rich people. But it doesn't mean that everybody in that region is poor. Let's understand this. So we are talking about the real masses. You cannot use birthday, outdooring, or somebody's going to mall to buy something to judge that or it's not possible. The poor people are more than the rich people in Ghana. You have to understand it. Into KSM na motini kama. Within the King Fantastic. Ghanaian Citizen TV. So, that's it.